بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So to summarize where we are thus far, we we've given essentially the heart of the Arabic language, the beating, pulsing heart, the spirit. That's what we're trying to do at the moment. We have the most fundamental words, the pronouns. We see how to conjugate verbs with these pronouns. We know how to decline the nouns. So that's basically given us the verbs, the nouns. We learned some basic particles, and we've seen some basic sentence structures of how to put it together. And in the first class, we even applied all this to understanding the first couple of verses from Surah Al-Fatiha. I think in the last video, I spoke about the tree of existence, usul and furu', ma'ani and mabani. Now, this pertains to what in Arabic we call ilm al-sarf. In English, we might translate it to morphology. Right, morphology is from the Greek word morphe, which means shape. Essentially, it's about these mabani, these structures, the framework of the Arabic language. It's about, how are these roots, the usul, the meanings of the letters, how are they going to form words? Today I want to essentially do the same thing to give us like the most important templates of words. These templates, which again will help us just understand 90% of words, I'd say actually 98% of words, just by looking at them. So as a quick recap, we said that, there's two things going on. There's meaning, ma'na, right? Meaning, your ma'na. And there's structure, mabna. I think we used the example of a cup full of water. An even more poetic and real example is the body. The body, the flesh, which holds the spirit. Right? So the structure, the template is literally the body of the spirit of the word, of these meanings. Saying ultimately the meanings are coming from letters. And they're going to come down and they're forming words. Press at the top over here. Let's choose a nice color. Let's go for purple. Morphology. Or علم الصرف. علم الصرف. Now you might recognize this is an إضافة. علم الصرف. What we also have is another science called, let's go pink here, علم النحو. علم, right? علم, same thing. النحو, النحو, النحوي. علم النحو. Loosely translated to grammar. We won't do this now, but just to give you a heads up, the same thing's actually going on. We're saying meanings are coming into structures. In this case, it's about how do words work. Right? It's about how do words work. That's our sarf, morphology. How letters become words. The next step is how to put words into sentences. So the same thing is happening. But over here, the meanings, the ma'ani, these are plural, ma'ani, these are going to come down from sarf. These actually are the words. And the words now are going to become sentences. And these are our mabani. So again, this idea of the tree of existence, what's the what's the branch becomes the next um, trunk, essentially, right? Like the branch comes out from the trunk, but then another branch comes off the branch and stems and so on and so forth. What's the structure of the previous part becomes the meaning of the next part. It's like a hierarchy. But all in all, these two steps suffice us more or less to understand the Arabic language. Words, sentences. So as for the grammar stuff, as I keep saying, the best way to learn this is just by immersion in the Arabic language. That's what we're going to be doing by simply going through the Quran together. What I stress is this, two things. And if I can actually go back a page and add another science. We're learning how words work, and on top of that, we need to like learn the words, right? Like two things. Learn how words are formed and how they convey meanings. And two, I mean actually learn the words. The thing is, once we know how words are formed, this is the beautiful thing. You don't actually need to learn words individually. This is why I keep saying Arabic is, I would argue, the easiest language on the face of the earth because it's a perfect mathematical system. It's the code of reality. It's not just a language, it's the diagram of existence itself. So we learn words actually by learning the roots of words, learning roots. And once you have one root, you can just derive all the other words from it. If you know a root and you see a new word, you can understand this word just by understanding the root and the form of the word. Right, the ma'na, the meanings of the letters, and the mabna, the meanings of what this form conveys. Remember, we spoke about Rahman or Ar-Rahmanu. It's coming from a Rahm, from Rahima, the meaning of Rahma, mercy and love. So, as I said, I might even add another. What color should I use here? Let's go with the blue. A science even before these two, which is, actually knowing words. We might call this lexicology. There's no one neat name for this in Arabic. Let's just call it lexicology for now. I mean this more than vocabulary. Yeah, we say, vocab, but it's more than that. It's not just learning vocab. You see, lexicology, the ology means that it's a science, something very deep going here. And truly, the science of meanings is the science of the meanings of letters. But the meanings of letters and how these meanings branch into the meanings of roots. One example people sometimes give is shajara or shajar, right? Shajarun, a tree. We're going to see this one meaning of sheen here. Sha, one meaning of a sheen is illumination and diffusion, emanation. I'll say spreading out. Of these things, we have, for example, nashara. Again, nashara. Nashara means to spread things out. Intashara. You have sha'a. Sha'a is to be widespread. You have sha'a. Shu'a'un. I'll say sha'a. This is a verb. Sha'a has a meaning of, a shi'a or shu'a is a ray of the sun. And you see, right, the rays of light they're coming forth, they're radiating. So one meaning of sheen is radiating. One meaning of the gene, let's go with this. Gene has a meaning of bodiness, essentially, of bodiness, of dimensions. Like you have jism, oops, again, jism. A jism is a body. In fact, another word is jasad. You have jism, you have jasad, jasad, you have jirm, jirmu. All three are words for bodies. In fact, you also have jism. Jism is also a body. And you have jatha. Jatha is a corpse. See, all these words for being bodily comes from the letter jim. So the jim has this meaning. You have a janib. The janib of something is the edge or the side of a thing. So you have all these meanings of dimensionality, of physical dimensions and embodiment in the letter jim. There's also the meaning of hardening as well. Like this thalj. Thalj is snow or ice. Tathalluj is to harden up, to crystallize, and so on and so forth. We'll study all these things in times to come. So meaning of spreading out, the meaning of being a body, one meaning of ra. Let's go with the red. One meaning of ra is actually similar to English, repetition. Especially at the end of a letter, you have karra. Karra. Listen to it. Karra. Karra. It's quick. It's repeating itself. The ar is literally repeating. Karra. You have marra. Marra. Marra bihi. To pass over something or to pass by something. Because it's similar. To pass by something, it's like you're going past it. There's a repetitive activity. Karra. Marra. And there's many other similarities, meanings of repetition, of structure and ordering as well. If you put all these things together, the idea is sh, sheen, jim, ra. We're putting this root together. There's a meaning of spreading out. There's a meaning of being a body. There's a meaning of repeating itself. Sound familiar? That's exactly what a tree does, right? A tree's a body, it's spreading forth. But not only is it spreading forth, as it spreads forth from the place it's spreading forth more and more and more. This is the miracle of the Arabic language. It's an absolutely logical system. And by logical, I don't just mean, like it's a machine is a computational algorithmic way to work this language. No, it's not. It's like saying the mind is a machine. No, the mind can do machine-like things, but it's not a machine. It's a soul. And the way to think of the Arabic language is as something, a living being, something breathing with a beating, pulsing heart. So don't think you can easily predict things in Arabic. At some stage, far, far, far beyond my own ability, the stage of, well, really what we call Bedouins, but in Arabic, the word al-Badwu comes from Badawa, but also Badaha, which has this idea of being extremely quick-witted and primordial. These, the ancient desert Arabs, they had this ability to just perceive the meanings of things. That's how this language is coming about. Of course, there's a philosophical thing of whether the Arabic language is made by human beings or whether it comes from God. But I won't go into that now. In fact, if we study the Quran, it will come up very quickly in Surah Al-Baqarah. I'll leave that there for now for you to think about. So this is how basically the science of lexicology works, the science of meanings and words. It's not something you study per se, at least not at the beginning. There are lexicons, great lexicons, which I'll introduce you to at some stage, which you can actually study. Believe it or not, you can study just the letter Aleph, all the words which have the letter Aleph, and therefore start to think about the meaning of the letter Aleph. That's possible, but that comes at a later stage. For now, in fact, what you need to do is kind of be like a Badawi, which means to be full of primordial intuition. Don't try to compute it, but try to perceive it innately and directly from the words. Try to feel the meanings of the letters. That's why Quranic recitation and study is so profound. When we should repeat and slow down the words to think, Alhamdu. What's the meaning of hamd? Oh, you praise. No. Forget about praise. Alhamd. Ma huwa alhamd. Ha. Ham. Hamd. Ha. Ma. Da. What's happening with the ha? The ham. The mad. Hamd. Just feel it. When we say Alhamdulillahi, we feel the meaning. Like I said, there are people who don't speak Arabic, like not with the lisan, the tongue, but they speak with the janan, the inward tongue, the mind, the consciousness, right? There's the lisan, and there's the janan, and there's the banan. Banan, your fingertips. What do you do with your banan? You write. بالبنان نكتب باللسان نتكلم وبالجنان نفهم. The fingertips write, the tongue articulates and speaks, but it's the heart which knows truly. And to really know these meanings, we need to activate the spiritual center and intuit them directly. And in fact, I believe and know it is possible to derive meanings directly from the source. People can literally read the Quran who don't know, who are not formally trained whatsoever, and they just get these meanings, they feel them. Because remember, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was unlettered, ummi. I actually don't like the word unlettered because he had the meanings of the letters, he knew these meanings. Ummi comes from the word which means mother, or actually the source of something. That's what an is. The Prophet was ummi because he was still connected to the source. He wasn't, his Arabic was not an Arabic of the banan, the fingertips, or the lisan, the tongue. It was, but no, but the source was the janan, the inward heart and interior. I keep adding this point because to remind all of ourselves about the real essence of this journey, which is a spiritual journey, and it's that spiritual center which powers our study of the Arabic language. So you have these three sciences: lexicology, morphology, grammar. What we're doing now is let's do a bit of morphology. Let's introduce you to the most important structures, mabani, of how a root is composed into words. Let's go back to fa'ala. And usually, fa'ala is basically the basis we use. Remember, we have huwa, fa'ala, fa'ala. Then you have huwa and, hum here and so on and so forth. I'll just leave that there. You can conjugate this. All these conjugations come from fa'ala, the root. That's the past. From this, we have the present, yaf'alu. This is the past. In Arabic, you call this the madi. Again, we're not going to focus too much on the Arabic words for things at the time being. That will come. The past, the present tense. I'll just give it to you. It's مضارع. مضارع. And we have what's called, in English, you might say the verbal noun. In Arabic, you use much more beautiful words. It's called a masdar. Masdar. You understand the past tense? فعل, he did. يفعل, he is doing. He does. But then you have, even in English, the act of doing. We speak about doing in general. Doing is basically, it's no longer a verb. No one is, it's not he does, but doing is the idea itself. That's فعل. فعل. And just ending is obviously going to change according to declension, as we spoke about. فعل means to do, to act. So a fi'l is an act. And remember, that's the word we're taking to mean verb. Fi'l. Masdar in Arabic actually means the source of the thing. Because really, the noun is the source of the verb. The masdar is the source. Because really what's going on here is we're connecting to the root letters. Fa, ayn, lam. From these, we can derive the nouns, as we said. So for every verb in general, we're going to have these three things: the past tense, the present tense, and the verbal noun, the masdar. The verbal noun, firstly, there's not, at the time being, there's no easy way to predict this. There actually are patterns for the verbal nouns, but I won't overcomplicate you with that now. Again, everything will have a time and a place. But these types of words, the masdar, are actually some of the most prevalent words in the Arabic language. Let me give you an example. علم هو علم. If you want an exercise, you can conjugate this. The present is يعلم. علم يعلم. This means to know. He knew, he knows, knowing, or knowledge. علم. Ilm is the masdar of this. So in general, when we're going to be learning words, when a new root comes up, we will do this. We're going to learn the past tense, the future, the present tense, and the verbal noun. So it's always going to be like this. فعل يفعل فعل علم يعلم علم. This is how we're going to learn words. And because now you know the meaning of the masdar. Like you don't need to, if I just say alima ya'lamu ilm, to know, you don't need to say, hey, what does this mean? What does this mean? What's ilm? Just by knowing that all these things come under know, you know this is knowing, this is known, knew and knows. Now I'm going to introduce you to some of the most prevalent nouns which are derived from this masdar, from this basic meaning. And I think you'll recognize some of these almost immediately. You have what's called the ismul fa'il. Ism is name, the name of the fa'il. I'll just write the pattern here. We're going to use fa'ala. This is a fancy way, is in English we call this the active participle. But I'll just say the doer of the word. The doer. And then there's the word for the thing done. The doer is the fa'il. I'll put it over here. I'll just put it here. The pattern is this. Fa'il. Remember, there's a ma'na and a mabna, a meaning and a structure. This is a structure in the Arabic language. Fa'il. The done is the maf'ul. Maf'ul. Again, we'll change the end. Fa'il means the doer of the verb. If the fi'l means to do, then the fa'il just means doer. Maf'ul means the thing which is done. Right, I do something. That something is called maf'ul. So to form new words, we take this structure, this pattern, and we put the meaning onto that. If you remember, I'll bring up our colors again. Let's go here. Meaning. That's ma'na. Get our structure. A mabna. Oh, no, I want to use a different color here. Let me go with, yeah, mabna, structure. So what's happening is the structure here is going to be fa'il. Fa'il. The meaning is ilm. Ain, lam, mim. So putting these together, what am I going to get? Take a second. Alim. Now, what's the meaning of alim? Again, take a second. It's going to be the doer of knowledge, i.e. a knower. The one who does ilm, who has ilm, is called an alim. And now you might know the word alim, you might equate it with a scholar. Because a scholar is one who knows. That's the root of this meaning, alim. Similarly, with the maf'ul, I have ma'lum. Ma'lum. Ma'lum just means something which is known. Maybe you know this word as well. You've heard it. Ma'lum. Huwa ma'lum. It's known. Knower, known. And any verb is going to have this now. The fa'il and the maf'ul. The doer and the done. Or the active and passive participles, if you prefer a more sophisticated grammatical terminology. So now we have quite a few things going on. The past tense, the present tense, the verbal noun. Like I said, you just need to learn that. We're going to be learning that as part of the vocabulary. From that, you can immediately derive two more words. You don't need to learn this as part of the vocabulary. If you understand this, the sarf, the mabna, you know what the pattern fa'il means. You know what alim is and ma'lum is. For any verb I can give you, for example, fataha. Fataha means to open. Exercise, you can conjugate this. Form the fa'il and the maf'ul and tell me what they mean. If you've done that, you might see it's fatih and maftuh. The fatih is going to be the one who opens, i.e. the opener. Maftuh means it's opened. Huwa maftuhun. See, al-babu maftuh. The door is open. Al-babu maftuhun. And one name of God now is Al-Fatih, the opener. And actually, one of the best ways to learn these roots and these verbs is to go through the names of God, which inshallah I'll do at some point. We'll study the 99 names of God, and in the process, we'll actually learn so many words and verbs. So, to revise, This is what we have thus far. So fa'ala, past tense. Yaf'alu, present tense. Fi'lun, the masdar. I'll just write al-masdar over here. Al-masdar. Now what else do we have? I've just given, we have the fa'il. We have the maf'ul. Let's see, doer, done. Very often, you have other adjectives and other nouns formed on other patterns. Now, there's quite a few. I'm not going to give them. But as one example, this is very common. The pattern, fa'il. In fact, let's go over here. Let's take this pattern, fa'il. Fa'ilun. The meaning of this structure, right? We're going to take an asl, a root, and put it into, like, it's like casting an iron into a frame, into a mold. The meaning of this mold is it's a more intensified meaning of the fa'il. It equals the fa'il plus like continuation in time. Stability of meaning, or I'll say the permanence of the meaning. Exercise, alima, samira. You want this basura. Form the pattern fa'il of these and tell me what they mean, or whether you recognize them at least. If you've done that, you'll come up with alim, sami', and basir. Hopefully you recognize these as some of the foremost names of God. The knower, the hearer, the seer. Or rather, Al-Alim is the all-knowing. Yes, he is Al-Alim, but more, he is Al-Alim. The difference is that Alim just means someone who knows, but it might just mean he knows something at some moment in time. It doesn't necessarily mean that he knows everything or that he always knows. You can be an Alim in some things and a Jahil, ignorant in other things. Alim, Jahil. You can be an alim at one point and become jahil at another, or jahil and then become alim. But alim means to really know. You know and you've always known and you always will know. This quality of ilm is permanent inside of you. Similarly with Samir and Basir. Seeing, not someone who merely sees, but someone who is seeing. So that's the meaning of fa'il. Another something else I might give you is give you one more. You might see fa'al. I won't give you an exercise for this. It's not as common, it's decently common. Well, the exercise here is, what names of God do you know on the pattern fa'al? Do some research to find some. If you come to my mind, Al-Ghaffar. Right, Ghafara, to forgive. Ghafir, forgiver. Al-Ghaffar, so it's fa'al. You see that the meaning is coming from how the vowels are being put together. Compare fa'il to fa'il. It's long. So the meaning is long established in it. Sami'. And fa'al is a meaning of being of continuously doing the thing. Fa'al. Not just fa'ala, not just fa'il. Fa'al. Ghaffar. If ghafara means to forgive, al-ghaffar is the one who will always forgive. Ghafara, 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 ghaffar. Who can continue to forgive forever, forevermore, as long as you seek his forgiveness. That is al-ghaffar. Then you have al-jabbar, from jabara, to many meanings. One is to kind of have power to force something, but also to put something right. Jabara can mean, algebra, al-jabr, means to put things together, to reconcile things. Al-jabbar, the one who is always doing that. Al-qahhar, qahhara is to dominate something. He dominates things at all places and all times, everywhere, eternally. Al-qahhar. There's other forms, but as I said, one really beautiful way to learn them is actually going through the names of God and simultaneously learning these different forms of producing nouns, their meanings, and also learning the meanings of the roots as well, which inshallah we'll do at some point in the future. So this is what we have so far, the fa'il and the maf'ul, always there. These you have to learn. You can't always predict whether there will be fa'il, but you again will just pick it up through hearing the language and being exposed to it. Another really important class of words is, well, you see this pattern of mif'al or maf'al. See, maf'al, maf'al. This has a meaning of the time or the place of the fi'l. Can you think of anything which sounds like maf'al? I'll give you one. And this really blew my mind the first time I heard it. And it's when I understood this first, it showed me that there's an entire, matrix of meanings behind the Arabic language. As I'm sure we all know the word masjid. What does masjid mean? Why is masjid called masjid? What is a masjid in its real, true meaning? It comes from the verb sajada. Sajada, yasjudu, yasjudu, sujud, sujud. This means to bow down, right? If the maf'al or maf'il is the place or the time in which the fi'l is done, masjid means the place, in this case, is place of sujud. That's the meaning of masjid. It's the place where sujud is done, where people bow down unto God. Right, the same thing, you have a sajada, this meaning coming into the framework of maf'il. It's pouring itself into this framework and it's creating this meaning of masjid. It's really beautiful. So that's good. We have the doer, the done, other derived adjective, let's say. We'll just call them that for now. You have the noun of time and place. Give you another example. In fact, I'll keep this as an exercise. You have kataba, which means to write. Kataba means to write. I'll give you the full thing. Is kataba yaktubu, yaktubu. يكتب كتابة كتابة so كتابة writing كتب يكتب كتابة. From this, I mean, there's quite a few words which come. In fact, almost everything is used, but what's a katib? You tell me. What's maktub? You tell me. What's a kitab? And why is it related to kataba? What's a maktab? And what's a maktaba? You can look at a dictionary, maybe if you don't know what they mean, and try to spot the resemblances of what's going on. In fact, I'll make a video to show you how to use Arabic dictionaries very shortly. Is there anything else I want to give? There's one you have katib and katiba, but I'll leave that out for now. So just from this, and as you see, it's really not much. There's actually now really so many words which you know, and it's just about discovering that you know them. So you see that we're going to be learning a few verbs, but every verb you learn, fa'ala, look at how many meanings you can derive from it. Sajada, so many things coming. Sajid, sajjad, masjid, sajjada. You might have heard these words. I'll end up with one last thing, which is we haven't really spoken about this yet, but plurals. So plurals in Arabic are quite vast and expansive because Arabic language is vast. Very often, one word is going to have many plurals. It's not like in English, we have book and books. In fact, usually at the beginning, you won't be able to predict that easily what the plural word is going to be. So you have to learn it. Like you have kitab, the plural of this is kutub. One thing we can do, however, is learn some basic patterns. So again, let's go back to our table. You have masculine, you have feminine, you have singular. I'm just going to give you a dual now as well, and a plural. You haven't seen this before, but I'll give you an example. Again, let's go with fa'il. Fa'il is a male doer of the verb. And the female is going to be fa'ila. Fa'il, fa'ila, fa'ilatun. Is the ta, we call this the ta marbuta at the end of the fi'l. This gives the meaning of femininity. To speak of two people, two doers, add the ani ending. Fa'ilani. Same thing here. It's going to be fa'ilatani. 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 Again, there's usually quite a few plurals, but one very important one is going to be fa'ilun. Fa'ilun. In fact, this is usually the standard way to form plurals. And maybe you notice this. And over here you have fa'ilat. Fa'ila, fa'ilat. Exercise, Muslim. Muslim. Form the words over here. If you've done that, you have Muslim, Muslimah. Right? Male and female believer. Musliman, Muslimatan, but importantly, Muslimun. Right? You've heard Muslimun or Muslimat. Another one, Mu'min. Mu'min. مؤمنون مؤمنات. متقين comes in Surah Al-Baqarah at the beginning. متقي متقين. So we're going to see this all over the place, which I'm giving it to you now. Again, you're just going to see this so much that you will naturally memorize all this. But hopefully what this has given you thus far is an introduction to how this is all working. You know, the big picture. And what you need to focus on at this stage is the big picture and not the details, because the details will come with time. So I'll leave this here for now, inshallah. This is really a good portion of sarf here, morphology. This, what we have done today, I would say is the most important part of the Arabic language. In my opinion, this is what makes Arabic Arabic. The fact that it has this tree-like structure to the language. Usul and furu', ma'ani and mabani. Where did I write all this? Yes. This thing going on here. We have patterns, and you'll form new words by these patterns. By learning these patterns in advance, we're going to really prepare the road for rapidly learning the Arabic language, inshallah. Anyway, I'll leave this video here. Again, any questions, queries, feedback is appreciated. Hopefully I'll see you all again soon. بحول الله والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.